Toyota Vets. More or less cash.
iDiskiTV powered by Wolfsforce Betting. iDiski Times, the co.za. It has been coming. In December of this year, 2 matches were awarded to the opposition. They were supposed to play Moroka Swallows, and Mamelodi Sundowns and Golden Arrows ended up winning those games by default because Moroka Swallows couldn't pay their players in December. Kwaya phansi naphezulu, kwaya le na le. At the end of the day, we now know officially, it's been officially announced by Marumo Gallants that they got the status, say, Moroka Swallows. Now, if you are maybe 30 or older, 40, 50, 60 years or older, you will remember that maybe 7 years ago, I remember I was still working, that it was the first time that we had to come to terms with the idea that they may not be a Swallows. The Swallows, they almost won the league in 2012, Siyabonga Nomvete scoring 20 goals in that season, and I think they won the MTN 8 with Gordon Egerson as well. That Swallows, not long after that period, maybe 2 or 3 years after that period, they got relegated. We were heartbroken, but that was the first strike to say, get used to the idea that there will no longer be a Swallows. The second strike, of course, it got relegated in the NFD, and we're like, oh, okay, maybe it's dead, you know. And then it came back recently in the last 4 years or last 3 years, I can't remember now. But as we know it, we don't know what's going to happen to it. But we know that Marumo Gallants, Usilo Peter, he bought the status Swallows. They are going to be playing in the Free State. Now, another thing about the owner is that he owns Marumo Gallants. They went to the semi-finals of the CAF Confederations Cup last season. When they were about to play the second leg, the players asked about the bonuses from the CAF prize money. It was Phansi naphezulu back then as well. There were statements, you don't deserve bonuses. And the irony and the joke about that is that it was 7 days before the last game of the season. All Marumo Gallants players needed to do was to draw, and I think they lost, and then they got relegated, but they were in the CAF Confederations Cup semi-final, all because of leadership. And also, if you remember, in Libya, when they were playing in the CAF Confederations Cup, there was a hotel bill that was not settled. In the end, they had to pay with human beings. They said, laba, and then we'll settle it, and then the South African government intervened. So that's the Marumo Gallants and the owner that we're dealing with here. So now, Bloemfontein, Celtic and Bloemfontein people are yearning for a club. Marumo Gallants is trying to fill that gap, but they are getting no angel. But then Swallows can no longer continue to exist as they are because they're saying they cannot pay their bills. Mr. Tso, journalistically, I think I've covered some of the things. What's your thoughts about this?
Mr. Ngiyokunjani Fit?
Yes, sir.
Ngibulisa wena, ngibulisa Justice, ngibulisa Junior, ngibulisa namakhaya. Can you support njalo iDiskiTV? Ngizobuya nje njalo ngijike futhi. Mr. Nkiyo, you know, certain things, they are very disturbing in life in general because remember that we're talking about human beings here. As darling match, we can't just move. We are not moving the stones, tatama stones and then nothing happens. There's emotions, physique, you know, there's a lot of things involved in decision making. So I'm saying this because I'm very disturbed and worried to Kuti. What's going to happen to Swallows if the very same owner who allow his team to get relegated because of the bonuses and now is going to have a team again here? What's going to happen? Is he going to do the very same thing to
and
say
almost get relegated, go NFD as
go
well.
NFD as well? So that's why I'm disturbed and worried in how we handle our football issues because it seems like it's between me and you. We don't care about the technical team, the players who do they go through what. We don't care. If me nangfuna logo, it's about me. I'll go and get it.
Let's take it one step at a time. Swallows. Look at what happened in the developments in December.
Yeah.
Arrows and Sundowns supposed to play against them. They can't play. Players are striking. 3 points Arrows, 3 points Sundowns.
Yeah.
Right? Money problems. So whether we like it or not, that's why I try to take it historically that bekumele dry as an idea we are no longer going to know a Swallows.
Yeah.
Already this one was Swallows FC, and then it took back the name Moroka Swallows. From that point of view alone, from those facts alone, inkinga zeimali, you knew that Swallows, their days were numbered. Let's just address that.
Yes.
We'll go to Silo Peter in a moment.
Yeah.
We'll go to what kind of an owner is he and what's going to happen with the players. You knew that Swallows were in trouble financially.
Yeah, Mr. Nkewu. Ibonakele wena unontuzana uMr Lesofie maka appointwe sePremier eGauteng ukuthi now trouble will come at Swallows, and yeah, it's sad, Mr. Nkewu, and but one thing that I read, I think last week or 2 weeks back, that there's still people that still have shares at Swallows. So Swallows, it means you can't be a sole owner for Swallows. There's other people that they still have shares.
So when players cannot be paid, what happens? What do those people do?
That's the problem. But now that's why Swallows, they find themselves in this situation, because I believe that Mr. Mokhasho and I came to a point to say, look, but I cannot take my money and pay players, and then when it comes to decision making, I need to consult other people to make a decision. So we rather sell the team once, and then everyone would get his shares, and then I'm out of the trouble.
Yeah, no, I think you Swallows. So it's your father's team,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And when I grew up as well, there were it was Chiefs, Pirates, or Sundowns. The people I was around.
Yeah.
But there were quite a few people who loved Swallows. Now
Yes.
Khule around abantu
Yes.
abancane Swallows
Yes.
as well. Although it was almost like a regional team, ukuthi uzobathola abantu mhlambe eSoweto, certain parts of Soweto,
Yeah.
but it was a big team once upon a time. It was one of the oldest teams as well. I think we have to come to terms with the fact that kumele samukele ukuthi either they're going to exist, and as no ukuthi baswap ama statuses, they're going to exist in the NFD, or they're not going to exist at all. We will know in the fullness of time, of course, what's going to happen. But I think to people, it's very important that they know that just forget about the Swallows. And that's a difficult thing for any football fan, because it's difficult to change clubs. Like, I've been a fan of my club since I was a child. Now you've been a fan of your club since you were a child.
Yeah.
I don't know what would happen to us if our club died, for example. So people have to just understand what, unfortunately, Swallows as we know it, unfortunately, it's no longer existing, or it's on the verge of not existing.
No, it's going to be water under the bridge for Swallows, because I think this is the last hurdle of Swallows. So they were breathing a machine, ICU. So now Mr. Mokhasho decided, you know what, instead of having that machine to breathe in, let me switch them off.
Because it cost them.
Yeah, it was costing, and taking players, taking a team to PSLTC, to all these things. It doesn't give also Swallows a good reputation. So I think that was a wise decision. I know it's sad for everyone. Don't follow me, follow the page.
Yes, sir.
Klapu enkulu le
Yes,
Mr. Nkewu. Abaningi bavelela phansi kwayo le club lena. So when things like this happen kuyo, it's very sad, but we wish maybe something better will happen. Let's hope for the best.
Yeah. Let's look at Marumo Gallants. I think the question is actually even bigger than Marumo Gallants.
Yeah.
I have this theory, because I think about this football all the time, that for the past 2 years I've been thinking about this. If Tso uspane kanzima waze waba millionaire mara kule region yabo 20 million, which is when we were growing up, those were people who could possibly own clubs.
Yes.
In the region of Aboma 20 million, 30 million, you are a millionaire, but it's not a lot of money, but it is enough to maintain a football club. Ngoba lo uzombhatala 5,000, omunye 4,000, 10. That would be like an extremely high price, 10 or 15 at the time. 20 years ago, Abo African Wanderers, Tembisa Classic, normal millionaires could own clubs. I think manje, the reason why we end up going back to Abo Masara Morawuzi, TTM, this kind of owners, Abo Silo Peter, manje, Marumo Gallants, is because I don't know this for a fact. Uguti, maybe there were other people to buy Swallows, but I think we end up going back to these guys because there's only a few people now in the current landscape here, PSL. There's only a few people, maybe one hand, who can actually viably own a Premier Soccer League club. And labo bantu labo kumele they must be in the region of 70 to 150 million in net worth yabo. Ngoba uJohn Committees makakhuluma no Mahlatsi Mphahlele la ku YouTube. In one interview, it was a brilliant interview here on YouTube. You can check it. Bambuza a direct question ukuthi, how much does it cost you per year to run this thing? At 50 to 70 million. Can't remember the amount, but it was between 50 to 70 million to pay these players traveling and all of that. And then if you calculate Lea grant, let's say it's 2.5 million, 3 million, ngonyaka, it's not more than 40. Ngonyaka, it's somewhere in the region of 35 million, 30 million, if it's 2.5. Right? Ngonyaka. So if it costs us 70 million, and you are making from a PSL ama TV rights, you are only making 40 million. Kusho ukuthi kuzomele wengeze nge-30 from your own pocket. And this is where the problem is now, that not enough people in this country have enough money to buy these clubs anymore. We are now left with a few people, a handful of people who can viably run football clubs. And my theory is that if it's so football club izo exista kuzomele ube ne salary cap. You're gonna have to say to those players, Tina la ekhaya, salary cap, the highest we pay is 40,000. You're gonna have to make sure ukuthi izogwinywa ile 2.5 for ithola. All the expenses are gonna have to fit on that 2.5. I think that's the way to go now. Let's talk about that. So the lack of people who can now own football clubs. You can't own it with a normal amount of money, 20 million on a good business, and you give it away. It's not enough.
Mr. Geo, it's not a child's play, to be honest, to run a team. When we are talking about traveling and accommodation, remember there's also amount of medical aid for the players. Of which that's a lot of money. Because your players, they need to be insured in your team, that if anything happens to the boy and then you are not caught, or go to an air court and explain why Zela without the protection from the company itself. So it's a lot of money. And Mr. Gavin, I agree with you. I will have that. I'll draw that line. I'll draw that line to
give them a salary cap. Any player who signs for you, they must know. Like Haya, we have a salary cap. So you won't attract the best players. Go and search for players from deep rural areas, go APC Mutsepe League, wherever. If you're gonna own a club now, you're gonna have to do it on a new model. As it is, we can't afford our players 100,000 or 400,000. That's ridiculous. You're foot into a club to some degree, because that's where most of the money goes.
That's the truth, Mr. Kew. And ladies couldn't Mr. Kew. I think 3 years back, if I'm not mistaken, we spoke about this. Oguti, when you see, I'll make a good example. Sundowns is buying players. I don't have money to buy those players. What must I do? Let me go, let develop.
Group your own players.
Yes. And I'm saying this because we said it before. Let's not complain about Sundowns to see Sundowns are buying all these players.
In fact, Sundowns is helping the ecosystem.
Yes.
Like, if they come in 20, I was actually surprised. Makakuluma, Austin Matthews, no Kevin Hunt, Bekala Ngemali, Engeko. But if you calculate between Ronwen, no Mbule, no Ntebuko Mukwena,
no Kekan,
no Grand Kekan,
no Maseko.
Tapela Maseko, yes. That is easily over 50. Easily. That should cover you for at least a year or two.
More than that, because if you can remember, Mukwena, it was 20 M.
The thing is, we don't know exact amounts. But I believe it's in about 60, about 70 in total, and it should cover you for 2 years.
And again, when you look at a super sport, they've got most of the young players. So it means it shouldn't be a headache, But nevertheless, Mr. K, what I'm trying to put to everyone that wants to be involved in the game is that, yes, players, they want money. But now, put a system that will work for you and work for the players. Sundowns, they just put the bar up there, so no one can reach. But now, you can reach. You need to be very smart. Go and develop. When you develop, Sundowns will buy that player.
Yeah.
When you take that player, when maybe you spend maybe 500,000 with that boy, but you're going to sell it to Sundowns maybe like 10 million. So, how much are you going to save?
Kuzomela uphile kanjalo, so.
That's all that
Kuzomela
they need to
baphile
do.
kanjalo.
But now the problem is that
But they can't
that?
only sell to one team as well.
Yeah, no, they can't.
They can't.
Obviously, they sell
They
overseas.
can sell overseas and stuff like that. I think for me, sizokhuluma ngale nto so kuze kuyovalwa
Yeah.
ukuthi because like so many teams are dying.
Yes.
And respect bekhala ngongabi
system,
namali and
yes.
stuff like that. I think the new conversation with aspiring millionaire ngiyazi ukuthi amajita mawathola imali and they are fans at heart. They want to buy football clubs, but
Yeah.
it is unsustainable. Mangabe ufuna ukuyenza ngale ndlela bayenza ngayo manje. It's unsustainable.
Yeah.
Do you have hope for the people of Bloemfontein as we wrap it up? And do you have hope that this would have been a changed owner? From what you know about him, Marumo Gallants, or even hope of a name change. Ngoba uye Bloemfontein to fill that gap because Bloemfontein is a great, great, great city.
Yeah.
They want football. All of those townships
Yeah.
around there, they want football. And we saw it with Bafana Bafana. They deserve something, right?
Yeah.
But do you have hope that this is the right owner for them?
I hope ufundile, Mr. Nkeo. Ufundile because if akafundanga, then for me that's a waste. Again, you're going to hurt innocent soul again. And people they abazobe investile with their hearts, energy, and everything. You're going to hurt them again. So, I hope by not listening, it's very important. Sometimes, Mr. Nkeo, I always say, just to listen, it will help you sometimes. I'm a father. I've got kids. Sometimes even if uyazi wena ukuthi fanele ukuthi uthini kuye manje enze ini, but if umntwana afuna ukukhuluma something, just give him
a chance.
Give him a chance nje ummamele ukuthi uthini mfana wami, what are you trying to explain? Ummamele, because you'll find that ukuthi what you wanted to say kuye wena bezomjikisa le kanti yena lento akutshela yona manje, it makes more sense than what you were gonna say.
Now you're talking about the ownership.
About the
They
ownership.
need to be able to listen to people.
Yeah, you listening, Mr. Keo, but listening is a skill, and it's a very, very, very important skill because if you can listen, it's so difficult for you to respond. Because the way you're gonna respond in the wrong way.
Do you have hope so that the owner
Keo,
would have changed?
I just have to. Let me give him a benefit of a doubt, Mr. Keo, because we all make mistakes in life. So that's why I'm giving him a benefit of a doubt to say, I hope ufundile Marumo Gallants, if you don't listen, you don't respect, and then you don't do the right things, these are the results.
You benefit of the doubt because he's your friend, and sometimes you call each other?
Not because of he's my friend, or no, it's because I take life.
Okay, so when
as a lesson
but
to say.
when you talk to him on the phone, what are you going to say to him?
No, I will say to him, my brother, look, you made a mistake. Like anybody else makes mistake. So it's very important that when you take this step now, as you just took now, are you sure? Are you ready to put everything in line, in place, so that when you've got those kids again, when you're gonna have those supporters
That community
again,
of people.
it's very important that whatever decision that you're gonna take, make sure that you don't hurt those innocent souls.
All right, there you go. Thank you very much, Tso. Thank you very much to everyone who's watching us. Hope you enjoyed it. Love your input as well. I'm sure, as you guys always do on the comment section, have a back and forth, discuss it amongst yourself, talk about some of the angles as well. I think the direction here, every time I communicate with people, I have no interest in taking sides. The team on the left or the team on the right, the team that's wearing yellow or the team that's wearing red, I really couldn't care less. Football is more important than one single team. I want to stress this. All new owners are going to have to realize that in order for them to be successful, they're going to have a salary cap somehow. They are going to have to say to a young 21-year-old, we are recruiting you now, we cannot pay you more than 30,000. I apologize, but that's what it is for now. And they have to push it and push it. Maybe incentivize them, say, if you guys go out there and win the MTN 8 for 8 million, 6 million is yours. That's it. That's how you're gonna have to incentivize them. Find other ways,
Yeah.
or maybe you say when they buy you for 10 million, you take 10%. 1 million will be yours. You are incentivizing them to perform. You give them 1 million when a team buys them for 10 million. A team buys them for 20 million. You give them 2 million. They will get their money there through performances. There's no way. It's unsustainable. You can't be making only 40 million per year, but you have a bill of 60 million. Some clubs have a bill of 45 million. So that means you are in the red. If you do it for 4 years, you are minus 20 million. And then you owe SARS as well and all of that. This is more about the future of our game more than just one club. iDiskiTV, iDiskiTimes, World Sports Betting. Thank you for watching us.